Good morning and welcome all. I, Sukanya Roy Chaudhary, Assistant Professor in Department of Information Technology, welcome you all for today. Thank you for taking your time out and joining us today as we talk about journal conference paper writing. And to make sure we are helping you as best as we can on journal conference paper writing, we have a chat box to source your questions. So, without further ado, let me introduce you to our respected speaker, Mrs. Asma Parveen, I Siddavatam. Asma ma'am is an assistant professor in Department of Information Technology, VESIT. She has a 22 years of teaching experience and 12 years of administrator in charge. Asma ma'am has received a medal at state level in Avishkar Research Convention organized by University of Mumbai and received a total 25 lakh rupees prize at Swadeshi Microprocessor Challenge organized by Ministry of Electronics and Information Technology. Runner-up at VLSID International Conference and received a prize of 25,000. Ma'am has also filed patent, presented and published papers in reputed international conferences and journals. Asma Madam has also registered a startup company, C Pulsar Private Limited. Thank you, ma'am, for joining us. Over to you, ma'am, and let's get started. Thank you, ma'am.
Uh, Thank you, Sukanya, for the nice introduction you have given about me. So it's my pleasure. Good morning, everyone. I would like to thank Shalu Madam and Sabnis Sir for giving me this opportunity to present a seminar on the topic Journal Conference Paper Writing under the event e-Disha in association with IIC and IQAC. Give me some time to share my slides. My slides are visible now? Are my slides visible? Yeah. The contents of my today's presentation are why it is important to write a research paper, what are its advantages, the structure of the paper, some do's and don'ts related to the paper writing, few examples and discussion on those examples, conclusion, question and answer session. So when we say a research writing paper gives a means. Yeah, am I audible? Sukanya, am I audible? Research paper writing gives a means of reaching to the wider audience who are working in the same field, and it is ideal way to organize thought, helps to make arguments based on research and share your newfound knowledge to the world. And on the personal ground, as a student, it helps to boost your speed of reading, making key arguments related to the research work, and also it helps you to improve your or hone your writing skills, boost your confidence, and improve your grades. When you spend some time or brainstorming writing sessions, you will come across what are the mistakes you have done while doing the project, and you start thinking about your project from all the angles and from different perspectives. That helps to master the skills of critical thinking. And meanwhile, it also helps you to know. It also helps you to know why the specific topics are very important, and it gives you helps to share your knowledge to the scientific community. And when the readers read your papers, they may get triggered with some innovative ideas. So indirectly, it gives the visibility to your work and also triggers some new research work into the field that you are presenting in the paper. So after covering the importance of the research paper and the advantages, I'll move on to the next section, that is structure of the paper. Any research paper or the manuscript contains the following sections, that is abstract, keywords, introduction, methods, results, discussion, conclusion, and references. As a final year student, we all are aware of this. We have put everything in the paper. That is in your thesis or maybe in your final year project report. But you cannot put the same thing in your research paper. There is a different methodology or different process, different sections. You have to add different things into the different sections, or different contents goes into the different sections, and you have to deal or you have to write in a different format. If it is abstract, the way you're writing in abstract, where you're putting, what content you're putting into the introduction, what is all about the results, what you're putting into the results in the discussion, it matters a lot. So before we start with this basic structure in the contents, the one more important point or the part of the research paper writing is a title. Because any readers who want to read the research paper, first thing they look at is at the title of the paper. The title of the paper should give or pass on the clear information about your entire paper, research paper. It gives an information what is you're going to talk, or what author is going to talk about his or her research work in the entire paper. So title is a very important part of your research paper. So whenever you are deciding on the title, it should give clear information, it should be very accurate and very concise. And you should not select very long titles. It should be very crisp and very concise in nature. And it should give the entire information of your work that you are going to describe or write in your entire research paper. For example, the first example shows an example of a good title wherein it is something related to the spectroscopy, that is repetitively pulsed tunable dye laser for high resolution spectroscopy. Here he is talking about some laser, dye laser, which is working on pulsed method, and that it is used for some application which is related to improving the resolution in high resolution spectroscopy applications. But the second example is a very bad example, because you are saying it is unique, then you are saying it is novel method, object detection method that improves upon that of Wang et al. Now, in the title, you are adding the name of the author. This is very wrong. You cannot add the name of the author in the title. So your entire title should be small. And whenever we are looking for some research papers associated to some topic, maybe AI, ML, blockchain, first important thing we look is at the title. If the title is attractive, then only the readers will go and read your entire paper. The second important point is, before sending your paper to the publisher or to the any journal or the conferences, you have to decide on the authorship. So any paper, whenever we say it is a research work, definitely research work is a teamwork. Even as a final year students, you're not doing a project on your own, individual, you are working in team. When you are working in team, every team member is contributing to the project or to the work. So the authorship or the order in which you're writing the name of the authors is very important. So in the beginning only, with an open discussion and professionally, you have to decide who will be the first author, second author, third author, and so on. So it could be based on the roles and the contribution that the author is contributing to the project or to the paper, or you can, the other way is you can go with the alphabetical order. So that is the easiest and simplest way of deciding the authorship or the order in which you are going to put the authors in the paper. This is the second important point you have to discuss. Even if you want to change, or you can renegotiate, and then before the submission, you have to take a call if at all you want to make any change in the authorship. The second important point is the abstract. Abstract gives the brief summary or the summary of your research paper. So it is an overview of your entire paper. So title and abstract are the two important parts of your research paper. So if you look at if you go to the IEEE conference site or if you go to elsewhere, the two things that are visible to the readers are only title and abstract. If your abstract and title are very attractive, very clear, it has entire information related to your work, then only reader will go ahead in reading your entire paper. So whenever you're writing an abstract, your abstract should include the problem statement, what problems you are targeting, what are the scope and objectives of your project, what are the methodologies you are adopting in improvising or working on the problem statement, what are your findings, maybe based on experimentation or based on some statistical analysis, and the conclusion. Apart from that, your abstract should also include what is the effect and impact of your work on the research community or on the overall on the research. So whenever every journal, every conference, they put some restriction on the length of the abstract, maybe 350 words, maybe 250 words. It is important to adhere to the restriction given by the journal or by the conference. Now, some do's and don'ts when you're writing an abstract. The abstract, it's like a story. You have to tell a story about your project. It is a small gist of your project you are writing in the abstract. So all the statements that you're writing into the abstract should be connected with each other. You have to use simple words. Don't use any abbreviations in your abstract. If required, you can make use of some units of measurement. If it is SI unit of measurement like centimeter, meters, all those things can be written. And some statistical words also you can use. Your abstract has to be very clear and it should give the entire information, enough information that should demonstrate the design of your work or design of your study. And also it should provide the good findings or evidence of the answer to the question. And at the beginning of your abstract, you can add 1 or 2 sentences of the background information or some introduction to your paper, and it should be written in, it should be placed at the beginning. And if your research work has implications, speculations, or future scope, some findings, it should be written in present word tense, and it can be placed at the end of the abstract. These are some of the important points you should remember while writing an abstract. The next important is the keywords. Many journals ask for keywords, maybe 3, 4, because these keywords represents the major concept of the paper. Whenever an author or a reader want to find or the search on the Google any topic, they enter the keywords. So these keywords should be standard, acceptable by the scientific community, so that when any user or author or a reader enters the standard keywords, your paper is directly visible to the readers or the authors. So by selecting standard, widely accepted keywords, there is a high chances of your paper getting more visibility in the scientific community. Next is your introduction to the topic. Now, when it comes to the introduction is it contains the larger overview of the paper. It should start with a brief introduction about the topic, and then you can move to the specific topic, and then you be specific to your, later on you can be specific to your subject or your topic. So introduction will comprises of background of the topic, literature survey. From the literature survey, you will get to know what are the methodologies adopted by or published in the digital domain or what are the problems you are going to address. It should also contain what is the purpose of your research, what are the methodologies you have used in your research work. If there is any new development in the literature survey, that also you have to mention, and what is their finding in the literature survey. All this should be there in the introduction part. When you're writing an introduction, it should be simple, realistic, and powerful, and also logical, that encourages the readers to go and read the entire, go and read the full paper. So if your introduction is not good, it is not clear, it is not logical, then no one will go and read your paper. So to make the readers or the authors read your paper, cite your paper, then it should be very powerful, simple, realistic, and logical. When you're writing an introduction, try to avoid long paragraphs. You can split into smaller paragraphs, and you have to maintain the continuity between each of these paragraphs. And also, whenever you are writing an introduction, definitely you're talking about the literature survey. When you talk about the literature survey, that should be written in past tense, not in present tense. Please keep in mind, whenever you are writing about the literature review, you have to write in past tense, not in present tense. Many of us do a mistake. We write this literature survey in present tense. Next important section is methods or the methodology. This section covers the method, or what you have used, how you have used, or the methodology that you have used, for what you have used, and how you have used. So this entire section is very descriptive in nature. So you should provide enough details so that the authors or the researchers who are reading your paper can verify their findings from your paper, and they can use your paper as a reference. That is the reason this methodology is very important. So because the scientific community, once they read your abstract and the title, they directly may jump to this methodology, because they will be more interested in the methodology that you have adopted. So that is the reason you have to provide enough technical details in this section. The information that you are presenting in this section should be written in past, verb tense, and in chronological order. If you require, you can add subheadings wherever required. Like if you want to write a block diagram, you want to explain the block diagram. If you want to make some comparative table depending on different methodology, you can add subheadings under this methodology section. In the methodology section or method section, if you are using some standard methods like CNN algorithm, RNN algorithm, everyone is familiar with these standard algorithms or standard models. Whenever anything which is standard, there is no need to explain those terms or those methodologies. You can just give the reference where in this specific topic or the algorithm or the model has been described. You can cite them, you can refer them. No need to explain all these standard methods. And also, you have to sufficiently allow validation of the conclusion, because you are writing your methods in detail. You are giving a way to the research community to validate their conclusions. Now, I'll just give an example how to write this methodology, in which tense you are going to write. You cannot write it as a first person. For example, we extracted RNA from the cells. So directly I'm writing this in first person. When you are writing methodology, there is no need to write in first person. You can write as RNA has been extracted from the cells. That is, you should write this in third person, not in first person. This is the one more important point you should remember while you are writing methodology. If any point of time you have some doubt related to the methodology, it is important and necessary to refer to the good reputed journals for those methodologies, and you can reproduce in your own language. No need to copy as it is. You can reproduce or rewrite those things, methodologies in your own words in 1 or 2 lines. Don't write lengthy description or lengthy procedure for those methodologies which are standard methodologies. A good method section or methodology, it should be very descriptive in nature. You have to justify your findings, and you should say why you have selected that methodology out of so many options available to you. Why was this method chosen? Is there any such statistical considerations? Because of that, you have selected this specific methodology. And if you are using any data pre-processing methodology, or you're adding some new method, why that new method is what you should explain that new method. And also, if you are using any data reduction procedures which is very new, which is innovative, that also you can describe. Wherever necessary, in the methodology section, you can add figures and diagrams to give that helps you to explain your methodology in a better way. And then at the end, you have to summarize the methods or make a comparative analysis of the methodologies that you are using in the method section. Next is the result section. It comprises of 2 important functions. One is you have to report the results of the procedures that you have described in the method section. Second is you have to present the evidence that supports your results. When you are presenting your evidence, you present it. It could be in the form of a text, it could be in the form of a tables, or it could be in the form of figures. In some of the journals, results and discussion are combined in one section. In some conferences in journal, they try to keep results and discussion as 2 separate sections. In the results section, the tables and figures must speak for themselves. There is no need, in the results section, there is no need to exclusively write about the tables or about the graph. Your graph and your table should be self-explanatory in nature. It should contain only results. You're not going to discuss anything about the results in results section. Now, please number your figures and tables according to journal guidelines, and you have to refer to them in a manner that is specified in the journal. When it comes to the discussion, you talk about your results in larger context. In the discussion section, you are trying to analyze your findings based on your tables that you have written in the results, you have added in the results section, or based on the graph that you have declared in the results section. And then, depending on the results or your findings, you have to compare your work with the existing work that you have mentioned in the literature survey. And at the same time, you have to show the significance of your work compared to the existing work or to the work that is you have mentioned in the literature survey. So discussion, the 4 important parts of your research paper is, one is abstract, second is the methodology section, third is results, and then comes the discussion. Discussion is the discussion about your entire research work or the analysis of your research work. So here you're trying to find the answers to the questions which we have posed in the introduction section. You are trying to explain the results. If your results are not satisfactory, suppose if it is a Gaussian, if you're getting a Gaussian type of curve, for example, and there are some outliers, and this is because of some errors in the methodology that you have adopted, then you have to give proper justification and explanation for getting such type of errors or the graph. And your work should indicate the originality and uniqueness. Whenever you are putting something into the discussions, what you are putting, the findings of your work. If there is any discrepancy, you have to make some justifications. If at all there is unexpected findings, then also you have to give the justifications. And you should highlight the importance or the significance of the work that you have done. And meanwhile, you can give some future scope or future recommendation for further studies for other researchers and authors you are referring to your paper. And some do's and don'ts related to the discussion. It should be short. It should present your results in a more effective way. Your tables and figures should be well crafted, and you have to explain your results in a more crisp and precise manner. And this discussion generally passes through various stages, that is summarizing the results, discussing whether results are expected or unexpected, comparing your results with the previous work, interpreting your results, examining the results, and hypothesizing about their generality. This is all about what you are going to put, what are the precautionary measures you are taking while writing the discussion. And finally, when you come to the conclusion part, conclusion, you can say it is a summary, but you are going to add you are not going to add new information into the conclusion which you have never mentioned throughout your paper. Suppose, for example, like RNN methodology, you have never mentioned in the literature survey, nor you have mentioned in the methodology, nor you have mentioned in the introduction or in the abstract, then RNN, anything related to RNN should not be mentioned in conclusion. The information that you have mentioned in the entire paper, you are going to talk about that in the conclusion part. Then in the conclusion, you can also write the future scope or future considerations. This section should comprise of a brief statement of your major findings and implications of the study. And you have to summarize the study, and no new information should be added in the conclusion. And your abstract, most of the students, they try to copy abstract and put it in the conclusion. Conclusion and abstract are two different things. Here you're talking about the findings, you're talking about the future scope. Here you are summarizing your findings and showing some significance of your work in the conclusion. This is what implications of the finding should be emphasized, explaining how the work is significant, what is the evidence, all this point. And one more important point is, most of the students, they have an habit of writing, I have done this project, we have done this project, we have accomplished this. There is, please try to avoid I, we in the conclusion section. Some major pitfalls when writing the conclusion are repeating the abstract, repeating the background information from the introduction, introducing new evidences or new arguments which you have never discussed neither in the result section nor in the discussion section. So future scope. Next, last section is the future scope. It gives you the future perspective of the work, some recommendations or the roadmap to the authors, and some small amount of speculation can be given, which can be labeled, and you can give a relevant information related to the future scope. If you are willing, you can add the acknowledgement section. If you have taken help from your classmates, technical assistants, from lab assistants, you can acknowledge them. If you are doing this project that is funded by some government agencies or non-government agencies, you can make a disclosure of that thing in the acknowledgement section. But few students, they acknowledge their mentors also in the acknowledgement section. If your mentor or a guide is an author, then there is no need to acknowledge them under the acknowledgement section because they are one of the author. So there is no need to acknowledge them again because they are an author. There is no need to acknowledge them in the acknowledge section. And lastly, this is all about the acknowledgement. So, next section is the reference section. The reference section should be in the numerical order of their preference. When I say numerical order of the preference, suppose you are referring to 3 papers, 1, 2, and 3. The way you have cited this in your paper, it should appear in the same way in reference section also. Suppose you have referenced paper 2 first, then your order should be 2, 1, and 3. So the way you are referencing, the sequence, how you are numerically, how you are sequencing in your paper, the same order you should write in the reference section also. So this reference section, you can follow different style. It could be BibTeX, it could be IEEE format, it could be any journal format, but you have to follow this style of referencing as per the guidelines given by the conference or the journal. If you want to add or attach some additional information related to the methodology you have used, some formulas that you have used or derived in the paper or used in the paper, you can add them as an appendix. Or if you want to add some valuable material, which is a standard material, that also you can add in your appendix, which can be used as a reference by different authors or the readers that you are that helps the readers to get the information, relevant information from this appendices, or makes a better understanding of the paper. With this, I have completed my presentation on conference and journal paper writing. Now I would like to show you some examples of the research papers. So this is the first abstract that has been written by one of the students. The proposed system deals with recommending hospitals to patients diagnosed with any form of diseases. Again, you're writing the aim is to help patients to find an ideal hospital at a convenient location that has affordable charges, employs experienced doctors, and provides premium facilities. So you, if you look at this abstract, here you are writing this is the proposed system which is dealing with, it is a recommendation type of system which recommends hospitals to patients. Now again here you are writing the main aim is to help patients. So there is no continuity in these two statements. Here there is a grammatical mistakes. So whenever you are writing a paper, please check for grammatical corrections and spell check. These are two important factors why many of the papers get rejected only because of these two things. One is the grammatical mistakes and spell check. See, here also, in the literature survey, initially you have to give background of your paper. In the introduction, you have to give some background, but I have highlighted some points over here. Recommender systems in the health industry has been used for diagnostic assistance by physicians or for personal health advising tools by users. So there is no, it's not giving a proper meaning. If you read this statement or a paragraph, it's not giving you the proper meaning, or there is no clarity what the author is trying to say. So here, if you look at this, there is no space between is, what. So these are the small mistakes. Research paper writing is, if I summarize, it is editing, writing, rewriting, and fine tuning your work. Maybe this could be the first version of the paper. You have to rework on your paper again and again, unless it is in proper and standard format and it matches with the style of the IEEE conference journal paper or IEEE conference paper. You should write in a proper language. It should have some proper style. It should convey proper meaning and it should be technically correct. Then only it's high likely that your paper is going to be accepted by any conference or the journal. As a student, you have the contents, you have already written your report, you know what is the literature, you have done with your literature survey, you know what is the problem statement, you know what is the background, why, you know what is the what are the methodologies you have adopted, you know your findings, you have the results. Only thing is you have to put everything in proper section and it has to follow some rules of grammar, spell checking, and adhere to some grammatical, whether you should write in past tense, present tense. That's it. This is all about your I'll open up the next paper and show you a few things. See, if you look at the abstract, this paper aims to compare some of the methods used to detect skin cancer as well as melanoma and non-melanoma types of skin cancer using deep learning algorithms. Are you just comparing the methods, different methods? Is this what you wanted to convey? Or you want to convey your work to the audience? Here you are just saying that your aim is to compare. It is something which is, you're not highlighting your work. You're saying something you have read in the literature and then you are doing only the comparative work. So whenever you start with your abstract, give some background information. Here no background is given. Just you are straight away you're starting that you want to make some comparison. That's it. So this is one mistake that I have noted down in this paper. This is the first one. Of course, this is the first version of the paper written by one of the students. I'll show you and if you look at the introduction, he has started with skin cancer. He has given some background. Then he is talking about melanoma and what are the different methodology there existing. That is CNN and deep learning methodology. And then what is the accuracy? And then they are talking about the methodology that they have adopted in the paper. I'll show this is the first version of the paper. And This is the final paper that got published in the conference, and I really explored. You can see the difference. See here. In this paper, an application is developed to detect melanoma and non-melanoma type skin cancer using deep learning algorithm such as this specific algorithm. In addition, the paper is discussing different models for detection of various skins. Also, it is proposing to improve something. There is some innovativeness into this paper, in the work. And then CNN model along with various pre-processing algorithms on image and CSV data, unlike models mentioned in the paper. He is making some comparison based on his findings with respect to the methodology that is described in the paper. Also, he is telling he has implemented this using ResNet 50 also. If you look at these two papers, there is a hell lot of difference. This is only because paper writing is something editing, writing, rewriting, and fine-tuning your writing work. That's it. You have to put things properly, right? You have see when you have to write, you have to think about your project. So already you have done your project. Give jolt down what are the methodology you have used, what are the difficulties you have faced, what are your findings, what is the significance of your project. You have done the literature comparison in the literature survey, how your findings compare your findings with the findings that you have got from the literature survey. And if you do this much, then you are in a position to write a research paper based on your project. With this, I would like to stop here only. If you have any doubts or I'm open to question answer session.
Hello, students. If you have any doubt, you can put it in the chat box. The feedback forms are shared in the chat box as well. Thank you, ma'am, for the edifying session. The examples you gave for every part of journal writing, paper writing, made it very easy for us to understand how exactly we should write every part of the paper and every section of the paper, especially the examples you gave at the end, just made it clear what we should write and what we shouldn't write. You said it very apt when you said that editing, writing, and rewriting and fine tuning your work is exactly what you do in writing research paper. Because research paper is not just presenting our work, but it is also helping others to do their work as well. Hence, we should know how to write a journal or conference paper. Thank you, ma'am, for enlightening us with your words and the session. Thank you all.
Thank you, everyone. Thanks.
We will wait for the feedback forms to be filled by all the attendees present in this session.